you get someone maybe begging you for $1, and you're trying to be nice, but you're like, yo, 6 feet. In New York, of course,
Yeah,
like
I keep giving
the
y'all
number.
money. I ain't gonna. I'm gonna be out here with y'all.
I know. You're gonna have this. I'm gonna start sneezing on everybody and shit. It's just gonna be bad. So, yeah, they have like a regimented format too. They got lines set up, like tape marks marking which each like 6 feet is, so that people don't cross the line, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know,
Same thing. Same thing here.
there's
Hold that thought. We're gonna talk about
ways.
that online. We're gonna talk about that
Oh,
live. I
all right.
love
See,
that. Good.
I'm
Good.
prepped.
Good shit.
Prepped.
Three,
All right. Yeah.
two, one. Boom. What's up, people? We're live, and I'm with a man, Christopher Sanchez. All right. The episode
Ew.
30. Episode 30 starts right now.
Ew. You know how we do. Ew.
Yo.
On the side, they used to be like, I.
Yeah. Well, that's come on, man. I think I have a feeling that was like created in New York.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one of
Yeah.
those things.
So
One of those
you
things.
was so you we were before we got on the show we were talking about just like Greenwich Village and like the homeless. There's a little bit of a
Ah,
homeless issue there.
social distance. Yep. Homeless situation out here. Yeah, around this area, like 14th Street, there's a lot of social services and a lot of homeless. My, I got my like local guy who just right outside my door, pretty much that I take care of. Every now and then, drop him a little care package. Guy Lewis, and I think he does well. And hanging out 6 feet from him for like half an hour just to be like, what's life like in his shoes? And also, I did a little video of the guys who are jackhammering right here on 6th Avenue. Not right now, but like last week. And I just thought of like the poetry of men and essential workers who, they drill up the earth to help lay a better foundation. Um, it's really something to see. Some people are really busy and other people are like shut-ins and in their home. A lot of people are like scared to do anything. Nets have been taken down, so there's no group sports. Um,
Yeah. Same thing
and
here in Hermosa Beach, dude.
yeah. So and we know the numbers here in New York are high, so people take it very seriously. I still have like once a weekend, like a get together with a friend for like a walk or to pepper.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and that's just like a little bit of air in between a lot of stuff. But I'm staying busy with school myself, so yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how that has transitioned. SAE is a fairly staple school of New York. It's for audio engineering, School of Audio Engineering, SAE.
I will
And
see you soon.
yeah, I know I was helping you with your podcast. As soon as I learned about these mics, I just finished week one today, and it's because it's Monday through Thursday class. I still have assignments to do and then a quiz on Monday. So getting the roll of things, and we got a leg up. Actually, the good thing about what's happening now is for, like, I guess for people like myself who are going back to school now, if you have the gumption to do it, good on you because now you're gonna have to learn the teleconference, and that's gonna be the wave of the future, just like we're doing now. This is gonna be like, I think, more commonplace.
No,
So
no doubt.
kind of forces us to advance ourselves.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
true.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
listen, just
all right.
I become an audio tech. I had to become one. Like the person that texts my show, Miranda Gagne, who's pretty good with this stuff with sight and sound, who's been teching our show, and you've seen her work it. Jeff Samuels, who knew a little bit about it, he's super sub. Last time you came in on the broadcast, I had Dougie Fresh, Doug Namashento. So a lot of the stuff I had to allow myself to make mistakes and learn and kind of do it the hard way, much to the chagrin of the podcast. Some of the episodes are, sounds a little different. I mean, you can hear all of them, but as far as like what we want, we're trying to be like perfectionists, Chris. It's tough. It's tough. Just like when I moved here, just like volleyball, like I had to be. There were no volleyball journalists like coming up, we had to be journalists on our own. Like no one goes to journalism school and wants to cover volleyball. They want to cover basketball. They want to cover football, ice hockey. So a lot of people that were doing media and Travis Merriweather, God bless him, one of the best writers in volleyball, breathed life into the sport. Don't know if journalism or broadcast journalism was his major. I don't think it was, but he some in this sport, and just like MMA, just I guess just like any alternative sport, you have to, you just become one. And for you, like some of the stuff you're into performing, you're into sight and sound, you're into DJing. God damn, I heard you I mean, we used to freestyle on the roof like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So
Did my last hip hop improv show on the 28th of February. So staying with it and
yeah,
maybe doing a stand up eventually, whatnot. And I hear you.
is that up
Really
somewhere?
Sorry.
Is that up somewhere?
Oh, I don't have anything yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm learning to write it first. So before I I don't have anything for it, no material just yet. But I started working on it and actually got kicked out of my stand-up comedy class because like, yo, I'm gonna be an emotional wreck and be edgy. I'm like, it's a stand-up comedy class, so
Yeah,
oh
you
well.
gotta let comedians work.
Yeah, and they gave me full refund. They're like, all right, yeah, come back later.
You were a little too over the top.
Too over the top. But that's all right. Like it's good. It's good. Reevaluate, reassess.
Yeah,
But
that's on them too. Come on, that's on them too. They tell you to take chances. They tell you to allow yourself to feel like an asshole, and then when you take chances and you're allowed to, you come on. What were you scaring? What were you scaring the normal folk? What
no,
was that all about?
I don't know. I think I had you know, uh, sometimes there's a couple of hecklers in the audience, and then you have something too ready for them. If you're too ready, they're like, oh no, fuck that shit. Like it's come back too strong. I'm supposed to win. I'm suing.
Yeah.
Just a comedy story I heard from, or a story about comedy I heard not so long ago. I like what you're saying. It's true. I had that same mindset. Just the thought about like in terms of the pulse of the energy of the media that's coming into volleyball to breathe life into it.
Yep.
What are you talking about? Like I made a friend AJ, and I told him, though, as far as I know, the AVP is still, first spot they're hitting is New York at this
Not
point.
anymore.
Anymore? Oh, they said no more
They
June.
just well last week I found out from Duran Forbes, my boss, who's the program director for Endless Summer and the founder of Beach Volleyball National Events. She's in the loop on everything. She's the Kevin Bacon. She's the 6 degrees of separation, and she said that Manhattan Beach is off. And I had tickets, so I gotta figure that out too. So
Oh, you mean New York City is off?
yeah,
New York City's off. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
I don't think the whole tour. I think they're still trying to work Hermosa Beach because that's the weekend of my birthday. That's like July
Right,
26th. In fact, it's 26th, which is my birthday, is a Sunday. That's the finals.
right.
Um,
Okay,
and
okay.
I'm coaching that tournament, but on the off chance my guys don't even make the draw, much less the finals, I got box seats. So celebrate my big 5-0. Um,
Nice.
so
You
so
got Earl Schultz again, and
Earl's right now is with a P1440, and they offer
okay.
free coaching. So Earl made the wise choice of having to pay me or get a bunch of hungry Brazilians for free. I mean, honestly, because it's free, I choose them. But I think what he's missing is that nobody works as hard as me. Like, are those guys doing video room breakdown the night before the qualifier or the main draw? No, they're not. They just show up and they're Brazilian, and that's good enough for everybody else, right? They're not doing video room breakdown. They're not doing five ways to beat the team that you're going against. I'm the one doing that because that's, to me, that's the only way I can compete with these guys who are not only have more beach experience. I have more volleyball experience. I'm 30 years in the business, but they have more beach experience. But the only way I can compete is to be up longer than them. You could appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely, absolutely. That's real work right there. That's
Yeah,
really
but
great
but
analytical work. It's something. It's something. In my experience, is not uh, like a little drop in the water in comparison to yours. But from my recent experience, I went to the Canary Islands where a lot of European pros train, and I was with Jake Sheaf and Issa Petrain out there, two of the English pros,
yeah,
and they did the video analysis. We were doing 2 days, and we had like a really great rigorous schedule. I definitely learned like the benefits of hard work. And I know, of course, like when you and I have gone out for a few drills, like when I've come to visit, there was a nice like a little like taster. But like to do that solid week out there, more
Two a
than any
days?
other 2 days. Yeah, yeah. Because we and the weather was not super warm. It was like 60s, maybe like high 50s in the morning, and then by the time it was for the afternoon session, it was like 68 Fahrenheit. So it was pretty mild. Once the body's warm, it's perfect. Um, and and it was really good at like really drilling fundamental. It wasn't overly complex. It focused on very key basics, from serve receive um, to like pass. I like our pass the baby drills. Two balls during pepper.
As the baby drills, yep.
It overloads you. It was really good. Things like that, and they really stuck with like use these things, use these tools. Also make sure to warm up. Obviously, starting half an hour before we even do our sessions. So a handful of us would get there and start stretching. I would do my usual like salsa or soca or some kind of dancing to like get my movement flowing, get my hips open, get my body ready. Um, since since I got another year and a half before I hit 40, so
Yeah.
you know,
Hour and a
um,
half?
yeah,
Shut the front door, man.
a year and a half, baby. That's right, an hour,
That's all
hour
we
and
are,
a half.
man. That's
We're in.
dude. That's all we are. We just a bunch of old looking, a young looking old dude. Anybody that's watching, come on, be real. Look at this man. Do you see 40 when you see that man? No, you do not. Do you see 50 when you see this man? No, you do not. Um, what's one of the keys to just staying young? I mean, I got my own ideas and this and that. I know that when you tell people how old you are, when they ask or whatever, they just say, show me some ID. Fuck out of here. Like this and that.
I
Um,
used to
what's
almost get
one
kicked
What's
out of
one
the
of
club.
your things that you can offer to some people that that keeps you younger than you are?
Feel free to do stuff that you like to do. Like, I know we all in our careers we grind and we get stressed. I had a friend that I just coached out of over stressing himself on the assignment that we have for our audio engineering. And my words to my friend AJ, I told him, he's like, man, I got all these ideas to do this and this. I said, it sounds like you're spreading yourself out further than what the assignment's asking for. Like right now, what our assignment is to simply get the context and get the conversation rolling. And so just choose one person. Don't choose to think of every choice. So he would overcomplicate what all those choices he could make was, and I'm like, listen, just choose one person, and then even if there's a lot of information on that one person, choose the things you want to talk about because you only have to have 200 words. So keep it in the mindset that there's a few things that you're supposed to take away, and that's why we're giving this assignment, and don't make it more like that. This is like choosing a mentor, choosing the start to a focal point of understanding our field.
Right.
So I said, hey, like, keep it focused on that. Like, what is the lesson do you think that our teacher wants us to learn by the end of this by doing this assignment? Then focus on doing that lesson, not that you've lost yourself trying to overanalyze or overwork. Uh, and and so when I say to do the things you like the things that like keep you light and less stressed. I mean, I remember I was talking to a girl on the phone, like she was really stressed, and I came from a place and I was lighthearted, and she was super serious, and unfortunately that like broke our friendship. But uh, like that was something I kind of needed, and I'm actually glad that happened too, because I realized I needed to do what was good for me, and doing what was good for me for those people who didn't care what was good for me, who wanted to be stressed out about whatever they wanted to be stressed out about. I couldn't fix them, but I could offer them advice and help. Um, and so choose to be the best for you. Don't beat yourself up. Be gentle with yourself. And at the same time, if you do want to be hard on yourself, do it in a way that you're going to push yourself well and do it. Not not like there's such a line like as far as like artists and athletes, people who push themselves either like emotionally or physically, like both, really. Um, I think it's really important. Obviously, like a lot of people say balance, but what is it? I feel like it's finding where you know how to like be cozy and comfortable with yourself, but then also how to get out of your comfort zone. Because if you can't leave your comfort zone, you'll never have success. So you gotta know how to have both, a balance of both of those, both a successful mindset, but also a I'm okay with myself and
Right.
whoever I'm even becoming in the process of accelerating. As you accelerate towards being maybe furthering yourself into being a pro or furthering yourself into any field, um, there will be changes. There will be changes that will be affecting maybe people around you because it's coming from you.
Right.
Um, and just always, if you have a chance, like journal, record yourself, keep track of yourself, and that'll help you also notice the changes you're making, and it'll make sense when you look back because it's important to look back. And when you look back, don't let it age you.
Yeah.
Don't let it make you weary. Just let it be clarity. Sometimes, and I can be an emotional person, certainly, having done like a lot of acting and other things. Certainly, acting work is about sometimes escaping into being someone you're not, but you're emotionally invested in being that person too. And so you understand what it's like to walk in other people's shoes if you do your work well as an actor, because that's what you want to portray on camera. And if you're not living it, then people won't believe it. So having been in a few other people's shoes in terms of the exercise of doing that work, and then also for myself in my own life situations that I made sure to keep my own,
No, no doubt.
um, and know that they are my own. It's really great to been able to reach deep. I had a project I was working on about domestic abuse, very heavy emotional subject, with a fellow Central Park volleyball player. But my fear was that she was too close maybe to the project, and she took me off of it because of I gave her feedback, honest feedback, which she was not ready for. And sometimes people aren't ready for it. It's okay. It's okay. Stuff happens.
So, how do you
Stuff
think I
happens.
did? Well, you kind of need work on this. Fuck you.
You're off the project. Yeah,
Oh
basically.
my God. All of a sudden, I had this Abraham Lincoln, that commercial where she asked, "Do you think I look fat?" Well, you're going to ask Honest Abe how you feel about that fatness.
Wasn't that bad. It seemed like she forgot we were working on an outline, and I was like, well, you told me to give like my job is to tell you to do an outline, and I wanted to help her focus on doing the outline, but
Oh,
yeah, it's
man.
all right.
Well, I think you brought up something very interesting, and I'm glad that it came particularly from an actor's perspective. Um, Sometimes they have this enthusiasm, and as you know, I'm an actor. I went to I went to Marymount Manhattan. It's in the BFA program. Very competitive at the time. It probably still is, but at the time they were number two in the country. Sometimes your enthusiasm works against you, right? You have all this energy and you have all this positiveness, and I think and this, I guess I'm using myself as an example, but I'm sure so many people can relate to me. And you can, maybe not through personal experience, but just by communicating with other actors. Sometimes your enthusiasm works against you. Sometimes, like, you wanting it so bad makes you lose focus of the mission at hand, right? Sometimes when you're on stage, you're not, you shouldn't be on stage to say I'm going to be good. Just be on stage and perform. Um, Actress, I forgot her name. I think it was I don't think it was Lauren Bacall because she didn't do much Broadway. And bear with me on this. She said she did 100 performances, right? And there was a way that she asked for the sugar for her tea that just made the audience laugh. It was a Broadway performance, right? And for the next like 90 performances, nothing, no laughs, no laughs. And then finally, the last five performances, people started laughing again, and they asked her. They said, "What did you do?" And she said, "I asked for the sugar instead of asking for the laugh." So, and it's very, very, I mean, and I'm talking
That's
about a specific type of performer and an actor. The kind of person that knows they're good and everyone tells them they're good. And then when you're on the stage, instead of just being your good being you and being the person that everybody loves, you feel like you have to, because you want it so bad, you want to make sure it's perfect instead of
This
just
is yeah.
being.
This is something I'm very familiar with. Certainly, there's a difference between knowing when it's like once you know something works and you've heard it from the audience that it does. When you put in that expectation, like, oh, let me just make sure to pause for that, and now that you're expecting that to happen, that doesn't work. You can't excise control of how the audience is supposed to react, because then they'll feel it. It's not authentic.
No,
Anytime,
it's not
and
organic.
that's actually relating to what I was talking about, I guess, with the film I was working on as well, the domestic abuse one I told you about. It's the same idea, whether you're writing or whether you're performing anything. If you try to control it, you're gonna. It's kind of like when we say like can I say assholes, like corporate
Sure.
assholes, essentially, like
Yep. Yeah.
it's why we consider corporate assholes, because they want to control things a certain way. But that control takes away from humbling yourself to the truth of what is really supposed to be happening in the scene. When a performer is suddenly aware of the audience, it can be a really negative thing. The performer should be based always foundation wise in that reality of what they're doing, just like a pro athlete should be very much engaged in their sport. But if a heckler pulls their ear or their focus or whatnot, because and sometimes I understand people play to the crowd, people play to
Which is
doing
also, but
things that
that's
they
also a
expect.
type of player. That's also a type
Yeah,
of player, right? You look at
yeah,
Casey Patterson, right? It's
yeah, yeah. I
he
mean,
eats it up, and some people they eat it up. They think they eat it up, but that's very fucking temporary. Sorry, go
and
ahead.
it's and yeah, no, you're right. Like that's an impulsive short fire. I think of like Star Wars. I think the dark side versus light side
Uh huh.
sometimes on
Yep.
because the dark side's about control. It's fear. It plays on like a very impulsive action. Whereas I'll be honest, like the way I see you as a Jedi, Y2J. I see you as a Jedi because you're the one who's staying up late, looking at footage, analyzing, doing the work, doing what really will count. And I say that because those who depend on just their natural ability in the force and to just be able to know when power is there and to grab power, people who are focused on control and power will see it slip from their grasp,
Yeah.
because the moment that it slips from their grasp, they start making all the mistakes.
Agreed.
That's how some of the best even lose their focus, because they're too focused on, I need to control what I can, and they're grasping at straws instead of letting their practice and letting what they really know, what they fundamentally in their base from the inside know. People especially like in something like a sport, we think extroversion, we think we have to be out, we have to be just like a Broadway performance, we think they have to be out. And when we talk about film performers and people on TV, they're more from within, and you can see the inner workings of within. It's a great balance to see if you can do something within without. I know I'm talking into like some of the meditations I've been
No, no,
focusing,
no. This is, and
but
it's amazingly similar that for volleyball and theater has this one thing in common, that the the most talented are not the most recognized. And I mean that's where the hard work comes into play. Like, I do think I have the gift of gab, right? I want to be a commentator. I think I'm better than 70% of the volleyball commentators out there, and half of the people in every other sport. More better than 50%. I'll just being self honest. But as talented as you are, there's always someone that's just as good, and there's someone that's better, and there's someone that if they're just as good, and if they know that person, you ain't getting that work. They getting that work. Tie goes to them, and that's assuming it's a tie. And it's the same thing with theater performance. Like, how many times have you gone to an audition, and
but
they
let
already
me.
knew,
I wanna.
who they were gonna cast before you even
Yeah,
went up there?
yeah. I wanna interject, because I know there's like what seems like only a certain amount of opportunities, obviously, because there's a position that you're both vying for. and you're both putting on great work. But if you're both Jedi's, like I just said, like if you're both both about doing the work out of like compassion and
Yeah.
love, and it's coming from a good place from within because you love it, because
Uh-huh.
you love doing it, and you love the contribution that you feel you're making. If that person feels the same way, then I think the mutual respect will be there for both of you. And then
Yeah, feeling that.
like if you're both on, you're like, hey, let's appreciate like that, we appreciate this about ourselves and we're both doing this thing. You doing what you do like now by doing this podcast and doing yourself, you're creating your own opportunities. So even though you had maybe a position that didn't fall through for you and the other person got it, you keep on and you create opportunities. The market grows because you're there,
Yeah.
because you attract the energy to yourself to have it come to you in a
Yeah.
way.
It's
And I
well
know that
for me, go ahead.
takes patience. It just takes patience. It doesn't mean that we're always going to have it right when we want it, but it will come because people who are attracted to, say for instance, the volleyball, just like I've been really newly attracted to being more of a spectator, and the 2 years, and I bring out my own little bit of expression. I'm sorry, I'm looking for something here.
Nah, look
Oh,
away.
oh, and it's just like to be, sometimes a little
Yeah.
therapy, paint some bananas and stuff, some.
Oh my God. I really wish I had a picture right now. I was gonna put it up on the podcast.
Well, you can
You
take a
were
freeze frame it later.
yeah, you all about those
Um,
bananas the last few AVPs too.
it's a little form of expression that makes me happy. I think it's my way to stay young. Like another answer to your question from earlier.
Yeah.
It's my way to stay in touch with my inner just innocence and brightness that needs expression, and it, it makes me to accept that I have this out there quality of my own, makes me welcome others who have any of their own out there qualities of
And
themselves
it's
as
a
well.
and Chris, it's a really good energy. People wanna be around personalities like that. People want to be around you. People like being around you. My birthday was last year. You came through, um, and I
Thank
remember you were supposed to meet me
thank you.
somewhere. We were supposed to meet somewhere, and I was like, "Fuck! If this guy gets there early, he's gonna be freaking waiting for me or whatever, and this and that. I don't want to waiting for me." And I get there after you. I get there later, and you're already surrounded by a bunch of people that neither one of us met in their lives. You were already you inserted yourself into the party, and I think that, like I said, that kind of energy, people need like being around you. And here's what's kept me young. Um, did a stint in the military, Army. You're Air Force. We're both vets. God bless us. Thank us for our service. Okay, you're
Thank you for
welcome.
your
We'll get that
service.
over with. So physically, I knew how to work out, and I knew how to do things that keep me young, and I knew certain exercises that have better for the long game and like last longer, where you don't have to constantly maintain this ridiculous 4 hours in a gym standard that make us in better shape than people that put more time in. So got married, got divorced. So what I did was I just started working out and I consumed myself in volleyball and theater, and that kept me young. And then after a while, I realized, to quote my guy from The Wire, if you ever saw The Wire on HBO, Nick, Detective McNulty just kept taking these cases on, banging women, behind his wife's back. And then finally at the end of last season, I forgot what his name was, the guy who was doing the trinkets, that was making like the toys, the trinkets. He said the job can't save your ass. The job can't save your ass. And when I realized volleyball can't save my ass, um, I've evolved again. So military's kept me young. After my divorce, I became a better version of myself. Let my hair grow out. Look like Y2, look like Chris Jericho. That's why everyone call me Y2J. Yeah. Oh, this is this is cut, baby. So so that evolution kept me young. Best physical shape, best mental shape. Went back to school, finished theater. That kept me, young. And then my biggest strength as a coach and my biggest weakness are the same thing, Chris. I personalize my work. My strength, I personalize my work. I'm living in the video room like a hermit, so the job's never done until I'm sleeping. So that if I work longer, even if I'm not as talented, I'm going to be better than a lot of people. My weakness is I personalize my work Because sometimes when you think you deserve it and you don't get what you deserve, it hurts. It fucking hurts. You know, and
Yeah,
then
nobody
and then
nobody
all of a
likes to be
sudden,
told.
then all of a sudden, no, but then all of a
I
sudden you
know.
start, but then all of a sudden you start saying, why the hell did this guy get this job when I did more work? Why you know, when all I'm getting is positive feedback, everybody wants me for that job and they're getting that person, and then you start what I call becoming what you hated, because it's something I hated when I moved here is the validation game. Oh, what's your rating? You know, volleyball. Oh, what's your rating? Oh, that guy's doing. Oh, this and this whole thing. Oh, I won this tournament is just sickening to New Yorkers, because New Yorkers, we don't give a fuck. We don't care. It's about how you treat people right here, right now. We don't care about all that stuff that you think makes you a better person. But when you get rejected, guess what happens? You start becoming what you despise. You start playing the validation game because you feel like you've been unfairly treated. So my last evolution, Mr. Sanchez, was when I realized
Um,
if I don't have to do something and I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. That kept me young.
Sorry, it's
It froze. Yeah.
mm, yeah.
So Chris, last evolution, and just listen to this last part. There came a time a couple of years ago, and you might have been around for that. That if I'm in a situation where if I don't have to do something and I don't want to do it, I'm not gonna don't fucking do it. I'm not gonna do it. And that is a backpack. You know, backpacks are good for hiking, right? Put some books in there, you know, whatever, stay in shape. No, release the backpack. That's what keeps you young, man. Don't step in the BS. Release the backpack. If I don't have to do something and I don't want to do something, I'm not gonna do it. And that's great, because nobody lives rent free in my head. Nobody controls how I do my narrative. And that's what makes this podcast possible.
Mm.
Ty, you with me?
Yeah, yeah. I was letting that catch all up. There was a few times I wanted to interject, and now I'm like, where should I go with that?
You can go
but
one at a time.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe start from the present backwards.
Backwards. I know I gotta like go reverse. Yeah, yeah. Nobody likes to be told manage your expectations, but we often do have to manage our expectations. Uh, we we have obviously came into a different form of life. You had to adapt. I know what that was like when I went from public school in New York to private school. Right after Giuliani cleaned up the city, like, plus my grandma had passed away. Like, my life was turned upside down when I went to private school. Mom was making money because she had recently graduated from Columbia Law. Got a lawyer job, and I viewed people as like snobs, or as people I didn't want to necessarily associate with when I got to private school. I wasn't ready to really make friends there. And how I am, like, I love to make friends, but this was kind of before, I guess, I was quite the person, even half the person I am now. And that's sometimes the tough thing about transition. You'll have your mind say, oh, there's all these reasons for why not, and then your mind will say, oh, I had all these reasons for why. So if it seems like everything's working for the why, and you get it seems like one big thing to tell you, like, why not, because it's what you were going for. um, I mean, you can always appreciate the fact that if you don't get it, like, you have now worked yourself into being someone who is ready for that. And even though it didn't come this time, you could get it the next time. And if you don't get it the next time, maybe there's something better for you. Maybe there's something more where you're meant to go. Um, and people think that they have to narrow that focus into that one thing. But maybe you're pulling yourself to be, we all are dynamic people. We all have sides to ourselves. We can only focus in on one thing so much. And if somebody sees that person fits whatever it is that they want, whether it seems like they have all the information or not, like I said about the film, I know I come back to it. That was my issue with what they considered an executive decision, but I could clearly see it was an emotional, uninformed decision, and that was very tough for me to take. I definitely hate having purpose snatched away from me, because I wanted to work on the project for my own, like, dad's history, and so I, like, work through stuff, and we find our purposes in many things, in many callings. But when we do have a calling, I feel like, um, and let me not lose you here. I know I'm going like this. This is to encompass pretty much anything, like
Dude,
with
this is a
calling.
podcast. This is why we're here. So keep going.
Good, good. When it comes to calling, I mean, uh, there's such a dynamic array of all the coloring of who we are, whether it be emotionally or whatnot. Like sometimes it's good that you got angry to kind of like push away from something that was toxic for you. And other times, so if emotionally you're like, oh man, I didn't get that and really seemed like that was for me, and you push off of it in a good way, that you're clear headed to say, like, well, I'm still working on me, I'm still changing me, I'm still bettering me, and you stay focused on that, then you won't let yourself get stumped. And trust me, I've been stuck and stumped plenty of time to know. I know trying sometimes to be into certain roles
Yeah.
where they were darker roles, and I thought like, oh yeah, this will be fun, but there's emotional times I'm not recovering well. Like I remember I had an actress girlfriend, Destiny, for 3 years, and she and I, like, depending on which roles we were pursuing, it would be tough to come back home. And then, like, if it had been one of those days that required a lot of emotional work, we still needed to learn how to shed that and be ourselves again. And that's something specific to acting, but I think that also comes with the intensity as well with sports. Like we come off the court, and the person we were on the court was the intense version of ourselves. It's that intense, like, we're here to win, we're here to like do these things. And if you can be composed with intensity at the same time, that's back to that like light side of the force. That's like really working it all out. Um, Certainly acquiring power by training yourself the right way with all the drills, um, but also composure, mental game. That was one of the things I liked about my training. Oh, what I didn't mention, even though we had 2 days, guess what we did in between? We had a sports psychologist every day, Emma Kavanaugh. Really awesome, really, really awesome. Uh, we had her for pretty much an hour every day, um, to talk about mental game strategies, pacing, to talk about association and disassociation, um, games like what's there and what's not there with like cards, which is to also make you think of what's there and what's not there on the court. Obviously, if the defender's not there, where do we want to hit the ball? Or if if we do see something's there, then how can we? Are we able to use it, tool it, break it, bend it to our will, to our ability, to our strength, with our strength, and sometimes, and it's certainly not something. It's tough to do that kind of internal work with your partner when you're on the court. If you've already done like internal work with your partner pre-game to already know what kind of strategies you want to put in place so that you're on your toes and you're with your partner and looking forward, like Sun Tzu, like if you know your enemy, you will always win. If you don't know yourself, you will always lose. So
I look, I mean, I love volleyball as an example.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love volleyball as an example because compared to performing, performing and everything I was talking about, like getting, putting the work in and keeping your promises, not getting caught up in the validation game. Volleyball's easy. Dude, volleyball is easy. Volleyball's a break. If take everything for all of my volleyball people listening in right now, I want you to take everything that we've said about volleyball and you multiply that by 5, and that's what you have to do for film acting and for theater performance and for comedy and the level that Chris Sanchez is talking about, right? Just like volleyball, there's levels to this thing. You were talking about visualization, right? Well, let's say you visualize a cut or like a high cut, and if it's there, you take it, and if it's not, you deviate, because on a certain level, it's easier to deviate from where you're going than to just be up there, just floating in the air and not knowing. And those, in my opinion, as a coach, result in the most hitting errors on offense. If you have a visualization, and if it's there and you take it, you're almost always, and if you practice it, you're almost always going to hit it. But again, there are levels to that. Like there are people that play the game so long that there is no visualization. It's just see, react, attack. But like I said, take that and multiply that by 5, man. I give you acting. I give you performing. Nice background, man. You're in a village. You're in the Greenwich Village right now.
I am 6th Avenue between 12th and 13th, and this kind of background looks like Comedy Cellar, which is famous. Like if you've ever seen Marvelous
Yeah,
Mrs. Maisel or any of the Netflix special. I
I've been
remember
to
seeing
Comedy Cellar.
Ray Romano, and of course, right there by Black Fat Pussycat.
Ah, that's when we sing karaoke.
I'm like right by there. Pick up the falafel place. Mahmoud's is still open, so I swing by for a little baba ganoush sandwich once and again with my fly mask on that Aruk Chirvani, one of my fellow volleyball players,
Yeah,
designed for me and gave me one for mom as well. Awesome guy.
black.
He's made over 1,500 masks and donated tons. Like he is a hero. He's a fashion designer from Mongolia, and he's been busy every day making masks. This guy is nonstop. I thought we were gonna hang out the other day. He's like, I gotta make more masks.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, all right. Well, good to see you, and thanks for the masks.
that's right. Black
Yeah.
Fat Pussycat. For those of you listening, I'll say it again. You didn't mishear that. Black Fat Pussycat. For
That's
those
what
of
it's called.
you that don't, you know how some people, they can't wait for Friday to come. For people to just say to hell with Friday, I want my Monday to be my Friday. This place Monday night was like, well, we were there performing, right? It was karaoke, and when you're in a village,
Yo,
let me tell you something. There's singing karaoke and there's good karaoke and there's bad. When you're a Black Fat Pussycat, and that's in the village, and you got these NYU guys and the performing. You got these amazing, from drag to straight, to the queens from Chelsea, from the guys from
and divas.
Brooklyn, yeah, Harlem, just these awesome poets and singers and performers, and
Everybody
it's a
comes to the
concert
village.
every Monday night, dude. So
Yeah.
Black Fat Pussycat, ladies and gentlemen. When you walk in, it's a bar. It's a bar and kind of a grill, like a quasi bar and grill. And then you walk through another room and it's a lounge. There's couches. There's a love seat. There's a big ass throne. I sat my Brooklyn bud on for my birthday. There's a throne. There's a king and queen throne. And then
Yes.
you go
Yes.
downstairs to another room, live band,
Or
live
a
music,
comedy show.
or a
Oh yeah,
comedy
yeah.
show.
It could be
Yeah.
anything. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, check it. First time I went to Comedy Cellar was when, and of course I'm giving away my age, when Bill Clinton got his pee-pee sucked on by Monica Lewinsky.
Monica
So one of the comedians is like,
Oh man.
he basically said the same thing Chris Rock said. He's the president. He's supposed to get hit. And this guy's
Right.
like,
Yes.
wait
I
a
remember
second.
that.
It's supposed to be a perk, right? You're a
Right.
president. You can't
Well,
get head.
can't. Of course, it's supposed to.
Oh
Not part
yeah.
of the internship.
Look, here's how I feel about this. If you want to get your PP sucked in the Oval Office, go ahead, do it. But what you don't do, you don't go on sweeps night like in the '90s that you had ER. Like Thursday was a good, Seinfeld. Thursday was a good night for TV shows. People say, "Oh, I hate TV. I don't like TV." Shut up, shut up. You like TV? Admit it. TV's gotten a little bit lazy with the reality shows. There was a boom period for that, but Bill Clinton goes on Thursday night, interrupts everybody's broadcast for him to bang his fist, talking about he did not have sexual relations. They weren't pissed that he got head.
No, nobody was.
And they were pissed. They were pissed because he interrupted everybody's favorite show to say that he didn't.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Truth of the matter is
Yeah.
timing. Truth of the matter is timing. So
Yeah.
often.
Facebook Live says they got my sound, but not yours. But on the recording device, you're good. So right now I think we're okay.
Yeah.
I think
All right.
we're okay.
Oh, okay. So they're not hearing me too well on the live just now, but
Well, they said Lolly, if you remember Lolly,
of
volleyball player,
course, of
she's
course.
tuning in. She's saying hi. She said that I have sound, but
Hi,
you
Lolly.
don't, which I find very bizarre. That I
Okay.
can't make heads or tails of that. Yeah, Lolly's pretty cool, man. Lolly wants to get into the sport seriously.
Lolly's also making masks. Also,
She
yeah,
is?
Lolly's also making masks. She's in a group I have, WhatsApp group, A bunch of people in there called the CPVB fun group, so we can kind of see what's what. Sometimes people like I share. Sometimes I share music or things that I find uplifting. Sometimes like Ibrahim's sharing a bunch of volleyball videos,
Yeah.
and we're talking about what's up and whatever. Um, at the moment, because of COVID, like keeping up with each other and providing each other an outlet to whatever's cool, whatever's clever. Yeah, chilling like a villain on penicillin, killing it like Bob Dylan, feeling it.
Oh, dude. So, talk to me a little bit about the Air Force.
Oh, Air
Short.
Force.
We both. I was in the Army for a cup of coffee. I did three. I did 3 years. Right. I did 3 years. All
Uh,
3 of my years overseas, except for a boot camp in AIT. I did boot camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And I did AIT in Virginia, Fort Belvoir, and then spent my entire tour in Darmstadt, Germany, and Frankfurt, and then Darmstadt. Of course, went to Italy, went to Kuwait, went to Switzerland, went to Morocco. I got to travel around because I supported MI, so wherever they went, I went.
I
And
see.
and I got to play professional volleyball. They released me 6 months out of the year to play for Darmstadt's club team.
Whoa.
So basically my volleyball thing was military community team. Tried out for the army team, made that. When I traveled with the army team, I got picked up by a club team in Germany, and I saw someone get a request for a release for rodeo.
Oh
He was
yeah.
in Spain. My boy did it for rodeo, and I was like, wait a second, I could do this for volleyball, right? So I put
Okay.
in the request for a release, X amount of time to play in the regular season, and everybody's like, dude, who do you think you are? This ain't Beverly Hills 90210. But my sergeant major came into saw a game. Just like a company like Alpha Company against Delta, like a finals. And I single handedly, I was in my prime, I was a young pup. And I single handedly won that game. They had some talent. Listen, the Army's got some talent. When you got a bunch of guys from Ala Samoa, from Guam, from here and there that already play volleyball, and the military put boot camp, you're in the best shape of your life. There's some real ballers, dude. So I single-handedly won this, and the sergeant major saw the game, and then whispered in the colonel's ear and said, "Let this guy. This is a good. Call it a public relations mission." Boom.
There you go. There you
Talk
go.
talk to me about the Air Force.
Nice. So in the Air Force, I originally was going to go in as a linguist, which is an intelligence. I did like a fake language test, a D-lab as they called it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I admitted to smoking a little pot in high school. I didn't realize I shouldn't have done that. But so I couldn't get my top secret clearance. Yeah, I didn't know. But I had
Damn.
come in after doing a year in college at University of San Francisco because I wanted to like see California a little bit. And then mom's like, you got to pay for school because I was still a bit of a troublemaker. And I was like, I'm going to use it as a stepping stone. This will be good. I ended up doing graphics design and audiovisual, and I'm now going more into the audio end of that audiovisual. Um, and I was stationed in Germany for 2 years as well, but
Was it
in
Rheinmein or Ramstein?
no, neither of the big ones. Spangdahlem, a fighter base, which is close to Luxembourg, about 40. I know it's like bumfuck nowhere. It's like middle of middle of Rhineland Falls. Like you got some wine fests and pig fests, but you got Bitburg, like Bitte ein Bitburger Bier,
Mm-hmm.
which is, but it's like 45 minutes from Luxembourg, which is like the only place I could go to see like a film in English other than maybe like the one they were playing on base. So I would go to Luxembourg to like catch movies and travel around. Like I was fortunate to have like 3 day weekends like every 2 months at least. So I would be like, all right, Rotterdam, Prague, Paris, London, going to Kerry, Ireland, taking little trips. And then for leave, I took 2 weeks in Spain, and I worked. I
What part
had
of Spain?
mom.
What part of Spain?
I had so I started in Malaga, where Picasso is from, also where Antonio Banderas is from. And then I continued through Madrid and Barcelona. Had mom join me for that because I thought, cultural, check museums out. And then I did very much a nightlife thing in Ibiza at the end of that trip.
Yeah.
But
I was there for the
yeah,
Olympics.
there you go. Oh yeah. Nice. Oh, Barcelona, yeah, the
Yeah,
Olympic grounds. Oh man,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was at the
Touring that
Olympics
was
grounds just
really
for a
something.
minute. I got to see USA play Japan, the opening match, and then I stayed at this hotel that had like a house music club, and it's crazy. We party all night and have breakfast
Oh,
11 in the
yeah.
morning. It was ridiculous. But sorry.
It's one of, no, Barcelona is one of my favorite places in the world. I went there like I had a spring break. I was very lucky to have my senior year of high school in Italy, a Canadian school in Italy. And that was like spring break Barcelona when it was still pesetas before the euro, and like things were a bit cheaper still, so it was nice. Um, and oh yeah, so Air Force. I finished up in Alabama. Maxwell Air Force Base is where officer training school is. So I would have two auditoriums. I'd work for Brigadier General so and so, and one of the captains I worked with, I remember he gave me this CD, kind of like a nudge, nudge. He's like, "Hey, this is the song they play when the Red Sox beat the Yankees." I was like, thank you for this going away gift."
They could, hey,
But
you
that
know
was his
what?
type of humor, and I just kind of,
They could have their one.
yeah,
They could have their one.
you have his fun. It's all good. It was funny, but yeah, it was very, it was 4 years total. I didn't like the experience at the beginning because I didn't really know what to expect. Like the first year is basically like, kind of like getting used to it. But after that, I did like it. I really liked being in Germany, obviously because of location to a great degree. But the bonds and friendships I made there, the ones that I did, like I'll never forget. And those
They're
are
it's
I still talk
irreplaceable.
to people I still talk to that I'm really grateful for. People that you maybe got drunk with and helped you get home, or vice versa.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, yeah, like looked out for each other.
I really.
Uh, took
Yeah,
a took yeah took a few trips with some of those friends too, and we saw each other through some crazy trips. Good times.
that's the one thing I didn't get a chance to do outside of volleyball. Like volleyball, we got to travel around a little bit, but when I took leave, I always came back to New York. The only places I took trips were for missions. Like I wound up in Barcelona because we were in Sardinia and we ended up doing some kind of crazy end around that wound us up in Spain. And everybody
Mm.
saw us in battle dress uniforms. Hey, you want to come and watch the game? I was like, hell yeah, I'm playing. I'm a baller. I want to see these guys. Um, yeah, it's very very similar to Central Park, where there's a special group of people that you associate with. No, it's different and it's not the same. I'm not trying to say they're the same, but it's very similar where you were joined together and you have this bond that's like time that belongs to that time period and it's irreplaceable. It's irreplaceable. What do you think I miss about New York more than anything else? I miss Central Park, dude. Central Park, for everybody listening, it's just a group of volleyball players who are like B to A to double A to open to this mixture of people that play ball overseas that are just in New York for the summer. Guys from Italy, Russia, Brazil. We had some guys from Esteban from Argentina. Um,
I remember
Countless amount of Dominicans
Poland and
from
Japan, and
yeah,
yep,
from uptown, and I mean, not to mention New York is a melting pot on its own. I mean, it's
yeah,
right. You
yeah.
got the Chinese from Chinatown coming through, the Koreans from Flushing, the Russians from Brighton Beach, the Polacks from South Brooklyn, the Dominicans from uptown, um, the Italians from Bay Ridge. It's this place where we would play cards. We would order food. For people listening, they deliver food to us in the meadow. Central Park, pizza, Chinese food. We play
Oh
spades.
man, yeah.
Um,
Tell me about it. Mojito J.
Partnerships. Mojito J. Okay, Mojito J is a guy that had a battery powered blender that would sell five mojitos for $20.
Yo,
Is that, am I
yo,
right?
and
Is
of
that it?
course,
It's five mojitos for $20.
yep, yep. That's the deal. That's always the deal. Always
Mojito
has
J.
been. And goes and teaches like boxing workouts like on the lawn on Chiefs Meadow right in front of it,
Yeah.
as well. Like I see him with his groups of people.
There's
Um,
probably close to 100 of us deep. I mean, if I had to go deep, just like all levels of volleyball players, there's close to 100, and the
and
level
growing
the level
and
of play is not as unique as as what people's occupation was when they weren't playing volleyball that somehow brought everybody together. It is the only thing, and I don't like saying it's the only thing, but it's one of the only things, the only venues in my life that I saw that brought all of these class structures together. This person's a senior partner at this law firm. That person's a file clerk. This person's a physician. That person is a bike messenger. This person's a professor at Columbia. This person, just graduated Columbia, played for the women's volleyball team. So it was this utopia of just extraordinary human beings that only Central Park Volleyball could have possibly brought together. And I know there are other venues where that happens, but because I'm a prisoner of the moment, it's the only way I can get the people listening to fully appreciate making the impossible possible.
Mm. You know, having such a great diversity, and I often like it when people talk about diversity. There's strength in diversity. There's just like a diversity of thought. Like, I just love that there are things that you don't think to do that pop up because of all the different things that are coming in. And when you get to, when you're just there and you're just sponging and you're just living and you're open to the good things that can come in, like little miracles happen. Little miracles happen there. I agree. I mean, I remember I started playing there like at a really young age. My mom used to play, and then I started playing as a teenager. With your wife, like where she used to play on 88th Street,
Yeah, Kelly.
and that
Yep.
kind of like Dust Bowl.
The dirt court people.
Like, yep. And there was like a whole group of people I used to play with from like the age of 13 till like 16, and then I played at the hard courts before the sand courts that are there now. When I was 15, 16, I used to play there, and then it was like a long time before I came back because I was out of town, and then of course I was in the Air Force. When I finally came back to New York, all that time later, like we're talking a dozen years later, literally, I finally like stepped back on the courts, and sure enough, you and I,
we did a wait, same master.
Who's the master?
We wrestled to a stalemate. We had all the same moves and then just stopped.
We just laughed at each other from the other side of the net, and just the fact that what was going on was like the battle of
your
who was
Shaolin
the
technique is good.
battle between Leo and Ren on like the banter between the two about who's
the real queen.
Can I say it?
Yes.
Yeah. Who is the dirty, rotten gutter cunt, and who is the royal cunt? Ren versus Leo. Mm-hmm. I still remember the words said, and I just remember both of us like smiling and laughing to each other, like, I love how ridiculous this is, right? Just like, I love how ridiculous this is.
Yeah.
We just kind of like did one of these, like, you see how ridiculous this is right now? I ain't gonna stop laughing because this shit is ridiculous.
And do you see how amazing Central Park Volleyball is? Like, outside of that circle, there's no way in hell I would want to even be around someone like Ren. Okay, so for years we were enemies. We would play New York Urban against each other. I would play with Polam. He played with Creo. So we were always on the other side of the court. But eventually, next thing you know, I lived in Harlem at the time. We're playing spades. Him, me, Kenny, and Steve. We're playing spades twice a week. So that's Central Park Volleyball, right? There's no way in hell that even happens without volleyball bringing all these people together. Leo? Yeah. Right, Leo? Yeah. Me and Leo are cool now. I couldn't stand that dude before. And then, of course, the two of them together, I'm like, there's no way these two are going to like each other.
I still have my awkward relationships. I know, and I'll call it out because, hey, if I can say it on the air, then at least I'm like, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to own up to my own shit, too.
It's a podcast. You're supposed to say
it's
what
a podcast, baby. There's between, like, say for instance, like Ryan or Kenny, like we've always had this kind of like at an arm's distance thing, or like sometimes we're cool, sometimes we're not. Generally, I guess this last summer it was kind of like let's just keep a little like distance and whatnot. And I understand like sometimes various things happen. maybe there's a girl you're chasing that somebody else scoops up, and you remember Pihana back in the day. everybody's
That was
everybody's
pitiful.
dogging Pihana,
That was
and
pitiful.
and I was just like, let me chill. But then again, sometimes I don't chill.
P-
So it's all, hey, it's all love, but it's all love.
Pihana.
I mean this to everybody Central Park. Like I love all of you guys. Like no matter what, like feels like it's been beef or anything. Like I'll be honest, like none of it matters in terms of any of the tension or negativity. And if there's something I ever did to offend anybody, I just want to
Yeah,
say I'm sorry. But I also want to say, like, if you did something to offend me, you're already forgiven, and it's okay. And I
cool.
love you. Yeah.
So here's where I start calling out some people. All right, this is my "you played yourself" moment. I
Go.
have a volleyball game, New York Urban, right? And I think we only have four people. It's me, Ren, Shadow, and Eater, or something like that. You know, me and a couple, three Caribbean dudes. So we play four against six. So I'm asking Ryan. I'm like, hey, we're gonna sing karaoke. What do you, but I'm playing volleyball first. What are you guys up to? Nah. Ryan's like, no, no, no. I want to do this first. I want to go home drink. And Kenny's like, nah, I want to play cards and this and that. And Pihana, this fine ass smoke show from Hawaii who was staying with us for the summer. She's like, "Where's your game?" I'm like, "It's at John Jay College, right? New York Urban. They rent the gym out, you know, local colleges and high schools." Um, so she's like, "I'll go," right? So I'm like, "Yeah." So I give her the address, right? So we're warming up, and as we're warming up, guess who walks in? Pihana, right? But guess who walks in behind her? All three of them niggas, right?
I remember that.
that said they weren't gonna come to the game. and, so listen, so it's one of those things where everybody's like, "Oh, I don't like what this guy did. I don't like what that guy did," but for me, I will listen to it, but I will only listen to it because one, all of y'all are my brothers and sisters, and two, it's just for my entertainment purposes. Because in that moment, an example of one of many of where I could say, "You played yourself." It was pathetic. It was Kenny is my brother from another mother. He was there. He came that night. Ryan, who just, you know, for a decade ago just saw a woman and just eyes get starstruck. He followed him. Zacharias is like, hey, want to come play doubles with me just because she's a pretty face? Yeah, come on, let's go. And they got the gall. They got the nerve, the unmitigated gall to talk to go at Chris Sanchez like he's cock blocking. He's Go kick rocks. See, I'll let you off the hook. You ain't gotta say it. I'm gonna say it for you. I'm gonna take that hot L. If it's a L, but to me, it's a dub. I'm taking a dub, Chris. I'm accepting. Give me my dub.
It's all gravy. It's all
But that's
gravy.
just an example of how hilarious our friends are. And
Oh, we're
that's
all ridiculous.
But that's
We're all ridiculous.
retrospective. That's something I could look back and I could laugh, and they could look back and they could laugh. That was, I don't even remember what I think it was like 2013, and I think it was 2013 because that was the last time I played with Ren.
Hold on one second. I gotta put my charger on.
Good, handle that. I'm gonna take care of these bills while you're doing that. This show is brought to you by NY Varsity Sports. Watching me, watching you. It's also partially sponsored, if I watch my language, by Beach Volleyball National Events and by Endless Summer Beach Volleyball. Come play with us. Or a family that plays together, stays together. Endless Summer Volleyball, Beach Volleyball National Events will be back in June, and we'll be back in July for the showcases. Get noticed
Right.
showcases. You want your kid to get noticed? Think you got what it takes? The showcases are the second week of June, where you have as much as 25 to 30 beach volleyball recruiters watching it and a showcase. It's called Get Noticed. If you're already committed, it's a chance to showcase your skills for your coaches already there. And that's BVNE, Beach Volleyball National Events. Look that up on Google search at bvne.com. Get noticed. Endless Summer Beach Volleyball, if you're around for AAUs or for Junior Olympics or for the U.S. National Championship or for AVP first, and you're trying to get a workout and you don't have coaches in Hermosa Beach in Manhattan, California, look up Endless Summer Volleyball Club. We have the best coaches. We have Pompilio from Brazil, who's Jose Loyola's coach. You have Jeff Samuels. We have Rob McLean. And we have yours truly, Jason DeBeas. Our club leads the country in commitments per capita. So we have 8 recruits. We have 4 girls going to SE2 Long Beach State, 1 GCU, and 1 Arizona. So come play with us. Chris Sanchez is back. Guess who's back?
Yeah, I saw 5%. Now I'm charged.
5%.
Yeah, that's right. I had 5% on my laptop. I was like, I gotta put this charger on. Low battery warning.
Cool.
But yeah, all good, all
Yeah.
good. Like yeah, all's fair in love and volleyball. I feel like I want to write something one day about like I remember I don't know if you know Sven. I remember Sven mentioned to me. He's got a couple kids. He's training. He's at Chelsea Piers a lot. Um, Talking about like we should make a show. It could be about like relationships and volleyball, and it's like it could center like from Central Park courts or something like this. I was like, yeah, those sound like cool ideas. Like those could be fun. Obviously, some people are more private than others, but
Yeah, but
um,
do you know what might have helped inspire it though? Did you see the documentary about Chinese Nine Man?
I've heard of it.
You got
I've
to see
heard.
it. It's
I've
only a half hour.
I had a buzz about that. Yeah.
It was awesome because people that don't, for those of you listening, Chinese nine men is basically nine people versus nine people on a volleyball court. All right. They basically take a foot on each side of the court and extend it maybe 6 inches. You have five front row blockers, you have four back row defenders. All right. If you play a ball off the net, it does not count as a hit, and block counts as a hit. It is controlled chaos. It is amazing to watch. Go on YouTube, look up Chinese Nine Men. I actually have the national championship game, which was at American Sports Center in California a couple of years ago, and I have a team from San Francisco against a team from Toronto. And if you ever want to appreciate this fast-paced, full action-packed elite athletes, I think you're allowed one non-Asian on each team. It's amazing, and I think if they could do that for Chinese nine man, we could definitely salvage some old tape and some pictures. Central Park volleyball. My friend Bernard has tons of pictures and videos, and we could definitely just compile stuff and maybe I don't know, just implement a theme, and then
Yeah.
maybe from the theme, maybe stream it that way.
Mm, mm. You heard Bernard. You heard from Bernard, yeah,
Yeah,
that he got released and he's good. He's good now. I
yeah.
had a little chat with him.
Bernard, aka Satan, was tested positive for the coronavirus, and he was in a hospital in Harlem where just
Yeah,
people were dying around him. And when you're in a hospital in Harlem, I don't mean to sound racist, like they don't take care of black people or nothing. You in that hospital, it's almost like, all right, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna die alone because you can't go in this thing with your family, you know. Oof.
yeah,
And
yeah,
look, it's New
yeah.
York, and if you had more deaths than California almost has cases, at some point you're going to know someone personally that tested positive. Maybe not someone that
It's
died,
true.
but you're definitely going to
It's
know
true.
someone that tested positive for it. And that was our guy. And, that was the guy
Yeah.
who's explicit about it. I don't even know, or that disclosed it. I mean, some people keep that private, you know?
I think. Yeah. I mean, I think we easily have like over a dozen people
Mm,
that many of us know, at least for us in New York, not necessarily just in New York, but like worldwide, and it's much more connected. We're definitely getting like a really um, more global sense because it's a global pandemic, so it's a global understanding of like what's going on in the world at the same time. So like it's been like no time than other to really like look back, reflect, and also reach out to those that matter. I really appreciate you making this call, especially considering the times, because it is really great to reach out. It is really great to and thank you for having me today because
no,
it's really
no,
um,
normalcy is the key for me.
yeah,
The
yeah.
podcast brings a sense of normalcy, and definitely my viewership's gone up.
And I miss socializing. I certainly do. It's like you get such great socializing just being there at the courts. At least opportunities to chat about whatever you want to chat about a lot of times, and we don't have that sense of community physically right now, and so that is a big adaptation, of course, that we all understand. And your podcast is helping a lot of people do that. I feel so. Thank you for that, Jay.
No doubt. At what point do you think people, like in California, when they said just practice social distancing, they thought we would be responsible adults, and we were. We got the whole 6 foot thing and this and that, and then that news broke out when they showed a video of the people on the beach in Florida, and it looked like spring break for Christ's sake. All
Yep.
of a sudden, everything got locked down. I went to the Strand one weekend when we were doing social distancing, and the weekend was the most activity, and even then, the crowd got tight. So people trusted us to behave like adults, and because we didn't, now they're treating us like babies. And
Yeah,
that's what's going on
yeah,
here. The
yeah.
realistically, we cannot stay in our house for 6 months until a vaccine is created. That's not. I'm not trying to get political because I don't even. I mean, people call me a fence sitter because I don't take this person's side about everything, that person's side about everything. But hey, with the fence is where you need to be sometimes. But with that being said, realistically, we cannot be in our house forever. And we can't just. It's at our door. This virus is at our door. And if we open the door, we're going to get infected. That's what they're making it sound like. So just don't open our door. A week goes by, months go by. What the hell? No, you have to. There are certain things where you have to let it run its course and be intelligent. I think social distancing or quarantine should turn to quarantine.
Yeah,
You know
there
what
you go.
quarantine? Tell me what quarantine is. Go ahead.
I
Come
mean,
on.
well, first off, it's not. It shouldn't be social distancing. It should be physical distancing
Right.
because we should still be social. And secondly, yeah, quarantine. Absolutely. Like I actually made some jokes to some friends about like how it's a time for us to be more lovey-dovey in a certain way. Would you be my quarantine? I said. And but the quarantine thing is really about yeah, like you gotta build the foundation of communication. It's good, but we also did like as veterans, we have a lot of things that we grew up on. Freedom isn't free, and there's certain rights that we have that
That
I
you give up
mean
when you join.
we're we're not, yeah, exactly, as to be able to have it when we got out, and which we're doing now. And I'm happy that I'm using a benefit to go to school again. I'm getting paid to go to school because of how I honorably served my country. And
Is it VRAP?
it's voc rehab,
Okay.
vocational rehabilitation.
Because
Yeah,
VRAP
yeah.
is Veterans Retraining Assistance Program, which,
That's pretty much what it is. That's
yeah.
pretty much what it is. So
Thank you, Barack
so
Obama.
Uh, well, I claim depression as my disability. I took some very strong acne drugs, Accutane and Amnestine, for like 2 years, which I have to admit did leave me a bit chemically imbalanced. So I seem a little crazy sometimes, but it just may be a slight bit of bipolarness. Uh, but but you know what? I deal just fine. I deal just fine. All right. I'm
Somewhere out there,
opposed.
like the side effect is cock blocking.
And the side effect is dancing as a banana. The, the but you know what? Like I'm trying to have a career and do things well and be a productive individual and make paintings fall off the walls, but then putting them right back up
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
begin
See
putting
my
down.
see my thing behind me. My thing just fell down behind me.
That's why I mentioned it.
Hmm.
But yeah, quarantine. That's a what does that mean to you? Actually, I should
All
ask
right.
you.
I'll give you an example of quarantine. Rob McLean and I have a segment from the option we call Sports Debate Tuesday. All right. He was in studio and we pre-recorded Monday night or Tuesday morning, and we would get all the highlights. Brent and Miranda would tech the show. He is not has not tested positive for coronavirus. Miranda, who's his roommate, has not tested positive for coronavirus. They've quarantined themselves for almost a month. I have, so why not just come in studio and do the show? That's quarantining. Like
Yeah,
a bunch of people who are not infected, just practice social distancing with each other for 2 weeks. And if no one tests positive, then you're a team. Quarantine. So,
absolutely. I,
yeah.
I I very much agree with that. Like we need to be able to be responsible to ourselves. Like you said, like it's not that we're supposed to be treated like babies. We don't need to treat ourselves like babies. I have you know a meetup with a friend to have a socially distanced walk in the park on Saturday,
Yeah.
that I'm looking forward to, and it's really necessary to get that time in. Also appreciate the great outdoors, get some vitamin E, and do the things that you love. Certainly, it's an adjustment, and it's an adjustment that we're all making. So I think I think it is good that we've made the adjustment, all of us, to some degree, some way, somehow, because we had to be quarantined, to be more shut in. But there are a few friends. I don't know if you know. I don't know if I should bring him up because he might be private about it. But there's a friend or two who are so worried by the news that they do not leave home for anything or for anybody.
Yeah.
And I worry about them more than most. And even if I have my own problems that I'm telling to some people, when I talk to them, I'm like, I just got to focus on this person because they need the most help right now. And really, it's so important to like be social, not social distance. I feel like, unfortunately, we've coined the wrong phrases with what we're supposed to do. Social distancing. I want to really change that to physical distancing. Like, social needs to happen. We all have a need to be social with each other, especially to grow and maintain our desire to collaborate. And if we're going to have an economy, obviously, again, as a country, it involves socializing and collaborating, doesn't it? It involves working together.
Yep.
So we need to keep working together in ways that is inclusive. I think the best thing, that's why I like Central Park, is there's a lot of inclusivity, within such a wide array of people. And outside of that, in terms of all the other circles that I'm in, and also that my friends are in, from what I sense that they're experiencing and what I'm experiencing, making friends at school, even though it's a video chat, we can't wait to have like barbecues at my friend's place who I met in school this week. I said, make sure to bring veggie burgers because I went vegetarian a couple months ago. And big thing. Yeah. Real deal. I know I'm slim. I know I'm still slim.
Hey,
maybe a little.
Listen,
but,
whatever makes you happy, quality of life, sanctity of life, and quality of life. We good.
And energy is good, and I don't have any like body odors from meat, so it's okay.
Fuck. Oh shit!
People
smell like a pig.
People smell like what they eat sometimes, so it's just truth.
The fuck, man. So what? Asparagus is off the table then? What's up?
Washing their ass. They're not washing their ass. So a little both.
Asparagus is off the table then? We ain't doing that.
That's not one of the vegetables I like to eat. Unless I'm doing an Adam Sandler bit like after this and talking about maybe some white asparagus. Those are delicacies.
Listen, what you eat, I mean, that's the other thing that kept us young. I don't take medication for anything. I don't even take aspirin unless it's like Cipro. Unless it's designed to save my life, like you have to take the Cipro or we got to chop off your arm. Then I take medication. But better eyesight, this food's for that. Foods that help increase your maintain your testosterone level. That's Brazil nuts.
I've eaten up those.
Foods that are high in iron, raw spinach. I have raw spinach. Red meat does that as long. Like Joe Rogan, he actually hunts his own venison, so it's not like you could do a factory farming thing on him. He hunts what he eats. He has a freezer where he practices what he preaches. So for me, yeah, everything I do. Like if I need vitamin C or if I need this or vitamin K, I'm gonna find out what food has that, and I'm gonna go for broke on that. And it's worked for me. My boss wrote a book. My old employer, Dr. Isidore Rosenfeld, world-renowned cardiologist, doctor with the stars. He's my first job out after the military. He saw my resume. He saw, okay, good enough to serve in the army, good enough to work for me. That's an old school virtue, which doesn't exist anymore. And he wrote a book called Doctor, What Should I Eat? And I'm good for that. Top 10 fat burners. I know avocado's number one on that list by most medical professionals. Dark chocolate, right? Cinnamon, eggs, turkey legs. So these are things where I'm not going to like be a complete vegan or a complete vegetarian if the food I'm eating is gonna help me with my quality of life.
That's absolutely absolutely right.
Absolutely right? So, come on, I'm I'm old school, so part of me is like, oh my God, being a vegetarian is an excuse to be a snob or whatever. But I'm not going that right. I'm too old for that.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, it's new for me, but at the same time, I think about this. Like Earth Day was recently. I'm an avid National Geographic reader,
We got it.
and this has two sides. It's the optimist's guide and the pessimist's guide.
Uh-huh. Put that
So,
more in the middle. Put that more in the middle. We're on split screen, so bam. All right, cool. And
and
it's
then the
upside
pes.
down. Up,
Oh,
right
well,
side up. It's right side up.
I gotta flip it. I
There
gotta
it
flip it.
is.
Yeah, there you go.
Look like George Bush reading the book to the kids.
So this book says, Mary had a little lamb. Yeah.
Oh. So Andrew Dice Clay? No.
uh,
Mary had a little lamb she kept in her backyard. When she took her panties off, his woolly got hard. Good old Mother Goose, remember her? I fucked her. That's yeah. So
indeed, yeah. I still am, but I am minded, and certainly California is like head of the game in the U.S. In like thinking, yeah, of course, Earth Day originated there, and
oh, it did.
being recycling and bag uses of bags or the bag tax and other things to really look ahead at how to preserve our environment and things like that. I think it's a great time to think about those things, and more important than ever now. Um,
Why don't you
uh,
just take some disinfectant and some Lysol, just put that shit in the needle and stick it in your arm? We'll be all right.
just thanks, Trump. Yeah,
It's
shoot.
like Motrin in the army. Remember, like any fucking ailment you had in the military, just take some Motrin, right? You got a
It's
headache,
like
Motrin. Your leg falls off, take some Motrin, put your
it's
leg back on.
it was like, if in case you don't know that reference, for people out there, it's kind of like the big fat Greek wedding style, where you just put Windex on everything. So
Yes.
same stuff. Oh, you had a pimple. Oh, just put some Windex on it. It's better.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, for everybody listening, let's whether you like Trump or you don't, let's be real. That's not what he said. That's not what he actually said. What for the people that don't only listen to CNN, listen to
I
this. The doctor talked about how, like, on surfaces, Lysol and disinfectant can combat and remove it within seconds. And Donald Trump, in a conversation is like, man, too bad. Anyway, we could like put that in the needle and put that in humans. And they're just looking at him like, no, or whatever. All right. So what happens is CNN hears him have that conversation with his doctor, and then goes on the air and says Donald Trump is telling everyone. They spin it and they said he's telling everybody to stick needles in your arms. That's not what he said.
It's
Listen? Is he
truth.
dumb enough? No, but is he dumb enough to make that believable? Yeah, of course you're gonna believe it because he's a fucking idiot. Okay, he's a moron. So of course, if someone spins it in a certain way to make people think that he's saying you should do that, of course they're
Yeah.
gonna believe it because he's stupid.
Yeah.
But be a little self-honest whether you like the guy or not. That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
Yeah.
And he's also coming from a place where, dude, we microwave ourselves to get rid of cancer. How absurd is
That's
that?
true.
We
That is true.
microwave our bodies to get rid of
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying he's right. I'm not even taking a side on this. I'm fence sitting for some of those people. No, I'm not fence sitting. I'm keeping it real. Tell the truth. Stop lying to yourself. Because people do that, right? In politics, like if
Absolutely.
if a report came out that Trump had a little dick, if you don't like him, you're gonna believe that, right?
Right.
There's
That's right.
nothing wrong with these hands, okay? Nothing wrong with the association.
Yeah, it's called negativity bias. That's
Yes,
that's exactly how it works.
I haven't
That's
listened to
right.
the news in days. I had
That's good.
I thought I
That's
had the
good.
coronavirus because I had like chest discomfort, so I thought I had a lung thing. No, it was from watching the news. I stopped watching the news. I figured out that I'm O positive too. There's certain diagnostic things too you can do to see if you have it. Like take it. I understand if you take a deep breath and you hold your breath for 10 seconds, and there's certain symptoms that happen when you're holding the inhale that might be symptomatic. And if you don't have it, then you most likely don't have the coronavirus. So, and there are also a bunch of studies that came out of your O positive. You combat the virus better than some people. Nobody's spreading that because they don't want the news to spin it and say O positive people are immune from it because
Right. Oh,
right
by the
because
way,
if
run
someone
free.
suggest no
Run
because if
free.
someone right because if someone suggests it, then right, come on.
Yeah. You got to suffer with the rest of us.
Yeah, oh my god. Hmm. Like we were just talking about Bill Clinton, and we were like nobody cares or whatever. Like if I were a famous celebrity,
Except for
you know what the
ER.
next thing on the news will be? The next thing on the news says Jason thinks it's okay for you to cheat on your wife. No, say that. I'm just saying nobody cares.
Yeah, I saw your post on yeah about that, and somebody's like, "Oh, you in trouble?"
Yeah.
Like the four different like things that like you have the perfect woman if that post.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Oh my God! Make sure all of them chicks don't know each other.
There's
Make sure.
oh hey, right, and I laugh, but at the same time, people start being like, no, they want to dictate and troll on you and tell you like how
Yeah.
to live your life, and just like that you're not allowed to laugh at certain
Let
things.
them try, try, try. Like Nas said, take me out, try, try, try.
Oh
You
my
want to be
gosh.
me? I'm actually
Oh,
gonna put it up.
yeah.
Actually, let me put it up. We'll keep talking while I put that up.
First Amendment rights. First Amendment rights.
Oh man, I'm not worried about freedom of speech. I'm worried about freedom after the speech.
I want freedom after my speech, please. Yes, it's true. It's true.
I think what we were talking about in the beginning of this conversation, like it's liberating to not carry other people's backpack. It's a combination. What we were talking about. You got to let comedians work. You got to let them experiment. You got to let them go on stage and find out what's funny and what's not. And then if that's not funny, then yeah, you're not gonna run with that. And
And
if it is, and if it
they
is
say it
funny,
takes a year.
yeah. Hmm.
It takes a year just to develop your voice for comedy. Like going to stand up throughout a year.
Yeah, and
So if
most
you're
of those
doing it for a whole year, it's like
and
I
most
mean,
of those people
expect
that
it
actually
takes.
do performances, like Joe Rogan that does performances, or Andrew Dice Clay when he used to sell out the Garden and all these places, they didn't just do it raw. They would go to the comedy store or they would go to places. What would you say? Lab it out. They would kind of lab it.
Yeah, yeah. They would ad lib it, kind of ad lib it out, or kind of
No
they would
lab.
start.
I mean experiment. What's the
Oh,
word for
lab. Yeah, yeah.
experiment? Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Share where it is.
I would work it out. Shit. I mean, I know what you mean.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this
If
up for
my
a second.
lingo is on the lingo, I'll get on the lingo if I can get on the lingo.
All right. Let me put this up. Let me zoom in. Um, all right. It says it's important to have a woman who knows how to cook, clean, and have a job. It's important to have a woman who can make you laugh. It's important to have a woman who can trust and wants only you. It is important to have a woman who is good in bed and enjoys being with you. And it is absolutely fucking vital that these four women don't know each other.
Right. Right.
That's the
Right.
video. That is a hot water thing with I guess
It's kind of fun.
people who are neck deep in cancel culture.
Yeah, it's fun to just see like what people from their own perspective will decide to comment on that. Of course, some people will try to correct you. Some people will be like, they'll just laugh because they know that you're just putting in some levity. And then there's like, because yeah, I mean
Well,
everybody
it's
has
about
their own
well, Chris, it's about
approach.
all right.
Yeah,
It's about individual, knowing the individual and the delivery, right? Like Chris
yeah,
Rock can make white jokes, but they know
yeah,
he's not racist, right?
right, right.
He's not racist. Racist in the classic sense of the word is someone. Sorry, something's wrong with my mic. Someone who has the inherent belief that someone's superior or inferior based on their race. That's not, he's not up there. Andrew Dice Clay, he made a lot of homophobic jokes. He doesn't care about, he's not anti-gay. He's just, it's a joke. The whole purpose of the joke in the classic sense of the word is supposed to take something in parody that is so outrageous that it's funny, right? Is Chris Rock that person? No. Is Andrew Dice Clay that person? No. And do we all find it funny? Being self honestly, shut your fucking mouth. You do find it funny. You know why? Because the same joke that you thought was offensive because you didn't like that politician is the same joke you laughed at when you watched South Park. Don't play. That is Jason's moment number two of you're playing yourself. You're playing yourself.
You're
So
playing
it's
yourself.
about who's
I
telling the
like it.
joke,
I
and
like it. You
it's
tell it
about the
straight.
delivery. Because deep down in that place, under that place, there's a place under this place, Chris, where men and women get to meet and talk. All right,
Yeah.
and that's that place where everyone has visited. And if you never visited that place, I'm sorry for you. Maybe that's not your thing. If you don't want nothing to do with that place, but it's there and it's real. All right, and sometimes it's humor and it's a joke. All right, when you tell a joke, you're not suggesting someone should hit a homosexual in the face, all right, and go bash someone. When you tell a joke about white people, you're not trying to say, oh, white people can't jump. All right, that's not. I mean, that's just and some people don't consider that. I mean, consider that racist. To me, that's racist. It's racist because it's basically saying someone's superior or inferior based on their race. So that's racist, but at the same time, not racially insensitive. So I think in the beginning of this conversation, we were like, you gotta let comedians work, and you have to understand who's telling the joke. You know, mean no harm. I found it funny, cool. I didn't find that funny, but I know that he ain't mean no harm. Like Joe Biden's like nuzzling people, kissing people on the cheek. He's friendly, touchy feely like that. I'm not talking about the sexual assault allegation. I'm talking about a type of personality where you're like, oh, that's so inappropriate, and then everybody's like, no, that's Joe. So to me, it's just about knowing the person.
Word, word.
What's on your
I hear you.
What's on your agenda today?
Oh, I got some assignments from school. I have to look up an audio engineer to basically be, in a way, a mentor of how I'm understanding. Like, what did they bring to the field? What did they bring to what I'm learning about? And also choose within, because audio engineering is a very broad term for many very more specific careers, like people who do mastering for certain types of music, or people who do original scoring for movies. So I have to get specific on different jobs as well, and talk about some people that are in the field, and then something that they've worked on that is very recognizable, something that maybe I appreciate. So it's a handful of stuff to do, and then I got a quiz on Monday. We're talking about things like amplitude and frequency, wavelength, decibels, Alexander Graham Bell, Bell Labs, where all of this audio equipment has come out of Bell Labs in New Jersey.
Plug them in.
It used to be in meatpacking until World War One time, or just after World War One, and they moved in like 1930 to New Jersey. So
nice.
Yeah, picking up information on that, and then obviously I know something, so I'm sure I will do all right in the quiz. But I got some studying to do on that as well. And I feel like I want to go for a jog. The weather's not too bad. I'm gonna go for a jog by the Greenway.
Yeah.
Just to break a sweat. I'll do like 3 miles, not much, but just enough.
Yeah, I
do
ran
a little stretch, and
I ran on Tuesday, man. Kelly and I run twice a week. It's 2.2 miles. At least we think so. I think it's a little bit more. And for me, the first quarter mile is when I want to quit, and after that, I could go all day. I can go 8.
Then you're good, right?
Yeah.
It's just like writing. Starting is the biggest part of the battle.
Yeah.
It's like just getting yourself out there to do drills. It's just 50% is just being there.
Cadence. Cadence has helped me.
Yeah.
I do military cadence when I run.
Good. Hey,
Yeah.
if that puts you in the zone, awesome. You tell your stories. When my grandma was 98.
That's right. Hey, 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 hey.
When my grandma was 96. She did 10 push-ups and then she did 6. Like that.
See old lady walking down the street, a rucksack on her back, jump boots on her feet. The guy says, hey, old lady, don't you think you're too old? You better leave that stuff to the young and the bold. And she said, hey, young punk, who you talking to? I'm an instructor at the airborne school, and it's all right. Okay. All right. So, yeah, twice a week I do that.
Ours, for some reason, sounded kind of like an Irish or Scottish ditty. It was like, so he called for his wife, and he called for his airmen. So I have a 3-day pass for the airmen. For brave men are we. So he called for his pipe, and he called for his wife, and he called for his airmen.
That is definitely the Air Force. When I was in AIT, Chris, the AIT, all 4 branches train in Virginia, because it's refrigeration and air conditioning repair, it's diesel generators, turbine engine repair. So the Air Force, this is around the Gulf War, first Gulf War, right? So they're all singing, they issued me an M16, hurrah, hurrah.
Hurrah!
They issued me an M16, hurrah,
Hurrah!
hurrah.
Hurrah!
So they issued me an M16, but they forgot the magazine and we'll all be dead by summer of 91. Ahoo, ahoo. Fucking Air Force.
we
Those guys.
I
And there was only
we had
5
to
people
hide.
in the whole platoon. It was a 5-person training unit. Go ahead,
I
sorry.
had a similar I had a similar experience. I was at Defense Information School
Uh-huh.
where Muhammad Atta actually used to run around.
Yeah, where was
Uh,
your AIT? Is that your AIT?
and no, so this is in Maryland at Fort Meade.
Okay, go ahead.
And Jingles, I don't know if you know this guy, but he said something that you will probably recognize. Good morning, Vietnam.
Robin Williams.
Airman Cronauer is played by Robin Williams. Um, he exists. He's a real person, and he gives speeches for the broadcast journalists on their graduation, and he's still a character. Um, the school had like all branches, and Marines were across from us. So whenever they did their cadence, it could be like 4:30 in the morning. We hear him like, "One shot, one kill, raw!" Like,
Ah! Yeah.
"Rah, rah." and we're just kind of shaking our heads in the usual silliness of like how we enter exchange, and it's all love, but we'll be like jugheads. Oh
Yeah.
man, and we're later. We're like very. We sound a lot girlier. We were like much higher pitched. We're like air power AEF, like Air Expeditionary Force. It's like,
Oh, really? I like leave them boys alone.
I remember we had like the 2 flights for ours, and ours were Nighthawks. And I had a friend. I'd look over to her, and I'd be like, instead of saying Nighthawks, I'd be a goof. I'd look over. We'd be like Nighthawks. I'd be like tight socks.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
The-
So I have this really cool thing. Well, by the way, airborne school, the Marines got dropped for push-ups all the time, man.
oh yeah.
They
love
just,
push-
and they didn't care. They just like, yo, Army sucks. Oh yeah, do some push-ups. Recover. And then recover. You still suck. All right, fine. Drop again. Recover. You still suck. So you're walking away from them and then you're 100 feet away and you just have to leave, right? You tell them, recover. And then you from a distance, you guys still suck. I'm like, wow. Fucking jarheads.
Together. I love it though.
So
Love unity. Yeah.
I have this really cool thing. It was a political tease. Basically, here's the thing. The joke is the new guy in the motor pool. You like to pull tricks on the new guy, right? You would tell him, listen, Private, I need you to go to Charlie Company and get some GAY grease. Go to Sergeant Trochet and get some GAY grease. I'm like, you listening to me? He's like, yes. And he's like, I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yes. I said, say it with me. He says, GAY grease, right? I'm like, yep, go now. So he goes to the Charlie Company motor pool. Sergeant Trochet is like, you guys need to get some, you get a life. Get a life. So I did this cool skit on what the 4 political parties would do about it. And I wish I can't find it, and I'm sad, and I wish I had it pulled up. So basically, it was like the Democrats would make me and my partner go to sensitivity training, and they would isolate the guy, who we sent to get the GAY grease. They would isolate him to an undisclosed location where he never gets hurt again. And we would have to apologize, write a formal letter of apology to him and to everybody else that heard about the incident because of their virgin ears. And at the end of the day, we would get kicked out of the Army anyway because they forgive, but they never forget. This is what the Republicans would do. The Republicans would be so upset that that our company ran out of GAY grease. We would be reprimanded for running out of it, and then they would use said GAY grease on the private who was sent to get it if he had a problem with getting it. The libertarians,
jokes. I like this.
yes,
Yeah.
the libertarian group would be like,
Lord.
GAY grease is an antisocial useless waste of time, and if you have time in the military to send somebody back and forth on a fool's errand, then we're wasting too much money on too many soldiers, and we need to downsize.
Oh man,
Now the
gaylords,
Green Party says GAY
gaylords,
grease is good for the environment,
it's the best.
and it's and it is, and we need to have more of that in our lives.
We
So
need more of
it was
that in
like
our
this
lives.
long spiel. And I'm looking for it and I can't find it. And I had it on my wall. I shared it with all my military friends.
I could just imagine like a bunch of like back and forth, like here, we'll give them this, spread this message about the GAY grace,
Oh
and
my God.
a response to it. I could imagine that playing out, and this back and forth errand runner, and then like trading messages between them, the two companies. I could see that happening.
It was amazing. It was, oh, because we do it all the time. When I was in a motor pool, we had gasoline engine driven generators, and they were like,
Sorry.
sergeant's like, don't forget to put the bearing on the muffler. And I go to my guy, don't forget to put the bearing on the muffler. And my guys are like, looking at me, there is no bearing on the muffler. And I look in the corner, and all the instructors are laughing their asses off. So, it's it's friendly fire. It's in essence, it's a joke.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
joke.
Yes.
Calm down.
Yes, indeed. It reminds me of Niels. You know Niels, right? Niels
Yes.
Madsen.
Oh my
He's
God.
always got these like well told anecdotal kind of dad jokes that always that he knows how to land it because he lets you know that he's going to tell a joke, and he's always got this kind of like hey, I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out, like a little bit like I don't know better kind of face going. He plays innocent to it.
Yeah, who, me?
Who,
Little old
me?
innocent me.
And it'll be something like about a prostitute or like a mistreatment of an animal or something like this or whatnot. But he makes it into something like, I don't know, it's just this is what you would mathematically do. It's like a very logical way to think of something that you wouldn't think to do. I'll tell one of his jokes because they sit with me sometimes and I'm like, this is nuts. And I'm definitely not going to tell it as
Yeah,
well as he
yeah.
does. But
You're not
here
gonna
goes.
deliver it the same way he does.
Definitely not going to deliver it as well as he does. So please don't think that this is from me and from what I believe in terms of how to treat animals. But do you know how to make a cat woof? Oh well, you take some gasoline fluid and then you light a match and woof.
Meow. Wouldn't that make a cat go meow?
And uh, well, do you know how to make a dog meow?
Oh no.
Hmm? Oh well, you take the dog and you put it in the freezer, and you take an ice grinder and then it goes meow meow meow.
Oh
And
my
I'm just like, oh my
God.
gosh. I had the
Truly.
same reaction. The worst jokes, the worst. But he makes it sit with you because you're like, you just told me that joke and I almost kind of smiled. And now I'm retelling it. So
Yeah.
I think I'm obviously mental. So
No, but it's no, but Neil. Look, if Niels is telling that joke, we
yeah.
we all sit there like this for like a whole second, and then we start laughing. We're like,
Yeah, it's the delayed laugh, exactly. I'm just like, oh
oh my
it's just
God.
always kind of like, but it's like the Michael Myers movie. What was it? Love Guru. It reminds me of Love Guru. And there's a part in that film where he's talking about key. The key to enlightenment first is distraction. Like he hits himself with like a broom when he's thinking about pissing, or like he fools the opponent, or I don't know. There's some kind of tactic that he has, and distraction is a key part of it. And Niels does that. He like distracts you from the fact that this would be a reality, just from the approach he has to telling it. That's the genius of good construction joke storytelling.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
he's been around the construction sites for so long, that and all the kids that he has is like, well, how do I raise him? I need to have a consistent dad joke. I think he mathematically understood he has to have a few things at the ready to provide levity. That's how
Yeah.
he has all the kids.
Listen, when I,
More to him. More
when I
power to him.
when I worked in a medical practice, my boss, Dr. Rosenfeld, Doctor of the Stars, kind of whatever. There's nothing in the world when a Jewish guy tells like an old Jewish joke, only told by them. There's a guy, I forgot his name, but City College. He was part of the City College team in the 50s. That City College is the only basketball team to win the NCAA's and the NIT the same year. And then they got disqualified for something they call point shaving. Point shaving is not what you're not getting paid to throw the match. You're getting paid to win by a closer margin. So these are a bunch of broke white Jewish kids in the 50s playing basketball. It's extremely good players, and some guy from some bookie or some mob guy say, "Hey, look, I'm not asking you to lose. I'm betting that you win by X amount of games," and they were that good. So he tells me this joke, and bear with me on this. It's two old Jewish guys go to Katz's Deli, downtown Manhattan, big old Jewish deli, right? And it's Michael and Joseph. So Michael and Joseph walk like this. Their back is hunched and they walk sideways, sideways like that. And then one day, Michael comes and he sees Joseph come and his back is like straight, straight like this. And he's like, "Oh my God, you look good. Did you see the chiropractor?" And he's like, "No, no, no. I took some advice from a friend." And he's like, "Sit, I'll show you." So he sits. He's like, "You get your wife to go down on you." That's it? He's like, "No, Shlemiel, that's not it." He says, "No." He says, you put some whipped cream around it and you put a little cherry on the end. And you get it to eat it up and your back will be as straight as mine. And he's like, "No, come on, you're putting me on." He's like, "Look, I'm a back straight." So the next week comes, Joseph gets there first, back is straight, right? Michael comes and his is still like this. He's still walking like this is even worse. He's like, "Oh my God, sit down, sit down." He said, oh God. He said, "Didn't you do what I asked?" He says, "I did everything you asked. I put all the whipped cream on it. I even put a little cherry on the end." And he says, "So what happened?" He says, "It looks so good. I ate it myself." It's just, and it was one of those things. And it was one of those things like, I tell a joke and it's kind of funny, but if you're an old Jewish guy and you don't see that coming from someone who you think doesn't even think about sex, but his delivery is just off the page. I cracked up for a week. For a week. And people on my job saying, "Jason, joke's over, chill." So but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just an example of delivery and I guess just like you said, finding your niche, finding your
Mhm.
niche.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you're finding yours, man. You look like you're in a really good place in your life. You,
Trying.
what was the
Trying to
film? What was the
working.
movie that you did with Liam Neeson? Oh, he's on the plane,
Non nonstop.
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 Is that what it was
Yeah.
called? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Actually is considered one of his better films too.
yep.
Um, it was a really tight cast. Before Lupita Nyong'o was known, like she was on that, Best Supporting Actress from 12 Years a Slave,
Yep.
and also Michelle Dockery. Uh, she was very professional, very like everyday, um, from Downton Abbey, and Julianne Moore, the
Oh,
the
she's one of my favorites,
female,
dude.
yeah,
Oh,
fellow Upper West Sider. She um,
I loved her super sub for Hannibal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's great. She's really great.
no,
Um, and of course Liam being involved as he is, and taking his quiet moments before shooting, and his stunt double, who's like also a big guy, just able to take certain falls a little bit better. Um, but
that's the job, right?
Liam did most of it. Liam did the actual action. It was just the run through that his stunt double would,
Right.
um, like times when he gets knocked out. He like fell on Liam fell on my shoulder, and they're like, "Should we replace him? Should we need a stunt for him?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. It's cool." um, Mostly, we just were asked to create turbulence by moving in our seats a lot. That was fun.
Oh,
That was a
feeling
lot.
that. That's cool,
More
dude.
turbulence. Like the plane's gonna crash. We got like a hazard pay because they like blew stuff into our faces, like random bits of like newspaper and whatnot from like these huge fans that they had staged in front of us, and we're just like, and you'll only see it for like a glimpse. So I mean, these are moments that happen so fast in the film, but they're necessary transitions to create like the real, intensity of certain scenes. There's one time I look like directly at camera because that's what I was told to do, and it's supposed to be Liam Neeson look like, oh shoot, they're all gonna believe I'm the one hijacking the plane, but I'm the U.S. Marshal here. So
No doubt.
I won't
Yeah.
spoil any more than that. You should go see it. Check out Nonstop. It came out back in right after Hurricane Sandy's when we shot. It was like a year and a half later it came out. So I guess that was 2013. I want to say. I
Yeah.
think it was in 2013 it came out. Yeah. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was my beginning actually into doing acting. And tried it out for a little bit because I was doing film. I figured within the industry, I've always loved performing, and I've always loved um, doing what didn't matter which side of the camera. Didn't matter which side of the camera, just to be involved.
Mm.
Saturday Night Live, I've been on a couple times each year for the last couple of years. I was on the COVID-19 skit. You don't see my face; you see like top of my head. But Chris Red is announcing this at the Debbie Downer skit with Rachel Dratch. Um, I'm like a very quick like on the side, but it was my favorite scene from that night was Daniel Craig making out through like this plastic and also having like a broom with a hand on it to still give affection, but from 6 feet plus away to Kate McKinnon on the couch, and maybe Cecily Strong was in there. It was I was like, oh, this is for times to come, and this will be something that we should laugh about during COVID. And so I still think of that, now during the pandemic, because it was like very much applying to what we knew what we were going to go into. That was the first week of March, I want to say. I think it was at the end of the first week of March that came out. Yeah. So if you have a chance, check out the Daniel Craig episode. You can see what I saw that night. Laugh about how um, social distancing was looked at the beginning of this, and I'm sure we'll have a very evolved perspective of it because we're all experiencing it together by when this finally passes, hopefully by Memorial Day weekend, from what they're saying. Like that's just from what my school is saying, we might be able to go back to campus in June. So now it's going to be all telepresence calls, which means I could probably be doing anything at all while the telepresence is going. Well, that's 6th Avenue for you. You got somebody yelling outside.
Losing their fucking mind. That's what it is.
Yeah, losing their mind. Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, get yourself like if you want to look fly, look to my friend Arup Chervani. Place an order. Get a mask. Get a cool looking mask, a cloth mask.
I always think of Michael Jackson when I think of them. See the mask.
Yeah, Michael Jackson. Get some rhinestones on there. One white glove. Whatever you want to do. Whatever makes you happy. Like I said, whatever makes you happy. If it's not hurting anybody, it's all good.
No doubt. No doubt. Happiness is the key, my man.
Yeah.
Well, shit. We almost went 2 hours. At some point, I think you got to pee.
I prepped. I used the restroom before we started. So
yeah. Oh, I'm a guy. I'm me, and I'm just a guy that could just go hours. I can go hours without it.
I used to tell friends, I'm like, man, I arrive to Jason's place, and he'll talk volleyball for 2 hours. I'll say like 2 words, and then he'll talk another 2 hours. Not to say that I won't talk too. Of course, I'm talking now, like we're talking, but
that's the improvement curve, right?
Sometimes I'm like,
that's the improvement curve, right? Between then and now, how much have I shut up? I've done a good job shutting up.
I am not critiquing you to shut up, Jason. I want you to keep talking, but at the same time,
no. But I say shut up so people could understand the point.
No, of course. Also, it's tough on these calls. I imagine there's also an etiquette, and I found when I had like a little telechat date that people who are really used to it, they know that they can talk over a little bit. There's something in the volume called ducking. That's a little audio engineering term, which is the volume lowers. Like say for instance in a mall or a shopping place, you have your elevator music or your music that's going on in the place, but then when the announcement comes on, the volume goes down so you can hear the announcement, and once the announcement button is untouched, that volume comes back up. So that's called ducking.
Ducking, yep.
And ducking is kind of what happens in telepresence when we're like talking right now. Say for instance you're talking or I'm talking and I'm trying to hear what you're saying, and we're kind of like, as New Yorkers, we talk fast a lot of times, and we can both talk at the same time and still be able to like, we know when we're in a moment that we're either agreeing or kind of melding in a certain way, then that's when like you can talk over with someone at the same time. And also run with the idea, just like you're picking up the rap in the cipher. It's like if you're freestyle rapping, to jump in. You don't just wait back. You gotta jump on in. So sometimes like having been abroad and lived elsewhere for a long time, for as for New Yorkers go, I'm somebody that waits patiently a lot more. Like I usually don't fight my own battles as much as most New Yorkers, I think. But I have learned I must fight my own battles from more so from relationships and life experiences. So
I think there was a
it's
fortune cookie that said save your strength for the battles you can win.
yeah. Well, there's battles I could win that sometimes I still don't say anything,
Of course.
and and sometimes I think that I'm trying to impart wisdom in a way.
Hmm.
Like I've been more on like I went to Thailand for the McKibben's camp in October, and after the camp, I ended up doing like there's a yogi side of that same island that we were on. It was a beautiful place. This place called Koh Phangan in the middle of the Bay of Thailand,
Yeah.
and there's this guy Charlie. He's from LA, of Thai descent. And he is the go-to guy in Thailand who has permission to grow legal marijuana. And so he's been talking about like CBD oils, and he's got this going, and he's got like great connections in the volleyball network and stuff. And he's like a mover shaker in Southeast Asia area for like 1, 2 star FIVB stuff. Like he's around, and he's definitely like talking about what's going on. That led me to going to Hong Kong at the end of October for 2 tournaments on what's if I remember the name of the beach, but on an invite from friends through that tournament. You just from the training camp. You train together for a week and you become friends for life. It's amazing the bond that volleyball has as a global network too.
Yeah.
And I've recently experienced how great that global network is. Like even trying to place this random Russian guy when I was in Playa del Carmen visiting to see a friend get married in Cancun. And I was like, I'm playing with this guy all day, and we're staying on the court because we're winning. I'm like, I've played with this guy or against this guy, and I know this guy, but I don't know where I know this guy from. So at the end of the day, I was like, hey, it's been great playing with you, and we're playing well. I know you. I know you. Where do I know you from? And I listed a bunch of places worldwide, bunch in New York, bunch in this, in the States. And then I finally jumped to, do I know you from Phuket, Caron Beach in Phuket, Thailand? And he's like, oh, and then he asked his wife, where were we in Phuket? I was like, yeah, I was there in January last year. He's like, where were we? We were there in January last year. I was like, aha, aha. I did one of those Eddie Murphy, aha,
Uh-huh. I'll taste the
aha.
soup. Where's the spoon?
Where's the spoon? What you know from funny? So, so just one of those moments that was like it's awesome to do that. And my own understanding, like not having done beach volleyball until only like 2011, 2012, a little bit in Mexico before that, but not like an organized thing. And then Central Park, with the sand courts put me onto it, starting around 2012 when I'm going to hit the courts, I'm going to do this. So 8 years now. And in the last three, I've been going abroad to play. And
You
I've
said the
been playing.
McKibbins did that in Thailand?
They did. Yeah. And for
Madison and
my
Riley.
and Riley and Madison's girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Madison a lot.
Yeah, they're both awesome. All three of them really awesome.
Yep.
They one of my takeaways was Riley's float serve was nasty,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna learn this serve, and I realized I was able to replicate it this summer a bit with focus, going out there just to do serves a couple times, and that like I ended up using in tournaments at this Highline Arena, and got second place twice for the double A. Really cool.
Serve is king, man. Serve is king,
Yeah.
my dude. Yeah. I mean, Madison has a good jump serve too, man. I saw him when he played Phil and Nick a year ago. The reason why there was even a third set to begin with was because his serve to space was creating a lot of out of system and this and that, and he got an ace or two. Big up plugging Madison McKibben in now because when I started doing this whole Tubecast podcast thing, my very first guest, Volleyball the Tuesday After, my very first guest was him. So
Oh,
it was
sweet.
Madison
Look at
McKibben.
that.
Episode 1 was him, Betsy
Yeah.
Flint, and the McCullochs, Allie and Kevin McCulloch. So, and
Nice.
then when he won San Francisco with Ty Loomis,
Ah,
He
wow.
he came
Right,
on again.
right.
So he
I remember
lives.
seeing footage of that. I
Dude
remember
lives
seeing
right
footage
here,
of that.
man. I saw him in
I
the
think,
morning. I think he might play with something in my mind says he's probably going to play with Jeremy Casebeer because I saw them in the morning running or getting stretching out to run or whatever. I saw them yesterday morning and I saw him
yeah,
this morning. I see him all the time because they live like 3 blocks away. You know, right now
absolutely.
I'm in the epicenter where all these, you know, the ones that live in Hermosa Beach.
Yes, you are.
it's not uncommon to see
Yes, you
Ryan
are.
or whatever and this and that, and that's cool. I mean, I'm not that excited about it because I think my Brooklyn virtue just makes me unassuming. Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
okay. You're an AVP or you're an AVP champ, but you're a person, you know.
yeah.
And that's what makes this podcast possible. That's what makes the guest possible.
Mm.
I don't like. I used to do media, so doing media, you want to have them on, and you call these people 100, you know, a bunch of times, which to me I'm not comfortable with. If I reach out twice and you say no, that's it. That's a wrap. You know, Taylor, I broke my own rule. I reached out 3 times, and Taylor was on the show too. You know, he after he won New York, so it's not like he hasn't come on. But I like that I'm not doing media anymore. I like that I'm just doing this podcast because I'll ask, and either you say yes or you say no, and that's it. There's no
That's
emotional involved. There's no emotion involved. There's no validation involved. There's no, oh, why not this or that. I put myself in this position where yes or no. Do you want
yeah.
to be on it? Do you want to be on it?
This is
Yeah. Then say yeah, and if you don't, then be no. That's it's all good. But what I will not tolerate, and I'm gonna let you come in on this in a minute.
yeah, yeah.
What I will not tolerate is if someone looks at me and smirks at me like the whole notion of asking is offensive. I'll slap the shit out of you. I'll take this fucking chair and I'll hit you with it. So that's the only exception I have. If it's not your thing, that's not your thing. If it's yes, it's yes. If it's no, it's
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
But something I won't tolerate, and I've earned the right to not tolerate it, is the attitude.
Well, that's good. I mean, out of self-respect, don't put up with nasty shit.
Nope.
Um, yeah, yeah. And if somebody changes their attitude and says sorry, that's okay. But you know what? Like that actually, what you're saying is very much about anybody's career. Certainly, we're talking about career, and like as you know, Voc Rehab is
Yep.
a career-oriented program for me on my end with audio engineering. We're already talking about like, hey, this is how you should like approach employers or internships and whatnot, and also tell us if an internship's not going the way that it should, because they do generally vet them. So you're not just running coffee; you're actually getting your hands on and doing things that you're going to take away from the experience.
No, no doubt.
Um, and certainly like I've really been learning more than ever because I've been trying to figure out like how do I get a career. I'm like, oh, career is more about etiquette than I even realized until this year that I'm actually really looking at it, and a lot of it is about and I realized I've been kind of a shithead when it came to it because I just didn't know. I didn't know which questions to ask. I didn't know these were important things. We just think, oh yeah, career services when I was at Hunter College was like have a resume and apply and maybe a cover letter, and like and then like I even forgot about cover letters, and then like recently was like, you know what, let me look at it again because it's what I've needed to do was to get by with what I had already with freelance work. But I was like, you know what, I want to push further. So how do I do it? A lot of it is you know, I already have good attitude in a lot of ways, but how do I put that good attitude in the right places? If you're fearful, if you're worried that you're going to say the wrong thing, you're probably not going to say anything at all. But so it's good if you maybe journal, like for instance, about an interview that you had, or maybe something that didn't go the way you wanted to. It doesn't matter. Just like auditions for actors, like after your audition, or even after a performance, or after like drilling. If you're performing a certain way as a volleyball player, no matter what career you have, if you follow up with yourself and write down what's going on, that and you can like appreciate and record maybe your lower vibration when you come down off the high of doing something intensely. Obviously, the intensity being the interview itself, or the performance, or the um, you know, whatever that activity was. When you come out of that activity, write down. Your thoughts have a lot more clarity when you have like a journal. Like I even wrote a journal after a date to say like what I liked or did not like about it, to help me understand like, okay, this helps me know what I'm looking for in a woman. This also helps me look at what I'm looking for in a job. This is what I'm looking for in an employer. This is what I'm looking for myself in my sport. This is what I'm looking for in my art form. This is what I'm looking for in things, because you don't know it until, like, we don't know things until we say it sometimes. And then having said it, we're like, oh, we finally connect our ideas and thoughts together. But now that you've digested it by putting it on paper, it's a that full process can lead its own way instead of you remaining in some kind of circle that you're going to be stuck in by not going outside of that comfort zone to do these things.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
I'm
Yep.
really enjoying like journaling more these days. Like over this last year, working on myself and better owning up to my own stuff, so I can be mostly so I can really focus myself in the direction I need to go. Like I've had some really severe career shifts. I'm going to openly tell you I got involved with a pyramid scheme because I thought I'm really good at marketing. I didn't know it was a pyramid scheme going in. I just thought it was internet marketing, one of these things you get ads for. And you get sucked in because maybe you're in a low place. I was in a low place in my life. Usually that like January / late December timeframe is usually when I'm like, my polarity is low. It's like not an easy place. So knowing that about myself now more than ever, I can reach out to friends a little bit more in that time and be like, hey, keep myself occupied until I'm ready to come back with full force. But I I went in about 50 grand in debt into this internet marketing thing called MOBE, MOBE, based out of like Kuala Lumpur or something from some Australian dude. And it was bad news. I got more than half the money back by help. Fortunately, mom's a lawyer, so we were able to. She was able to help me with the writing for how to ask for that money back, and also saying that these are invalid charges because it's an invalid business. And as soon as I already started doing that, an FTC injunction was slapped on him, and I was like, good, because before I got too involved, I felt like something was wrong, and it
Ballast
got to
jumped off a sinking ship.
yeah, and it got to like a sticky, really dark gray area, and and I was like, you know what, let me not do this, um, and it was good that I worked it off and I found like a career to get by, but it was doing something I didn't really like, but something that was helpful for the future. Um, so so I ended up paying it off, and now I'm back in school, more focused on something I feel like I'm gonna love doing.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been playing on the piano a lot. I'm gonna be happy to share some tracks with you.
Yep.
That maybe I'll mix one day. I'll have some things on SoundCloud at some point. Doing like a little techno
Yeah.
mix for a competition that's due May
And
17th.
and when you come through in July, you got to freestyle for me a little bit too, okay? For my
Oh,
birthday.
definitely, definitely. And I have a break, July 27th. I think I have break or something like that. So
All
I
right.
might be able
That's
to.
Monday.
I think I'm going to be able to come just in time. So maybe even the third. If I get my assignments and everything done, maybe that Friday I could be able to fly in on like Friday or something like that.
Let's do that. We can
Yeah,
come in
yeah.
studio. I could
It's
give
like the
you I could give you
24th.
a little a Raekwon, a little incarcerated Scarface's beat. Can hand,
Love it.
or just maybe shook ones. Shook ones is good. Shook
There's
ones.
a that yo. So this group called Off Top, like they have kept me juiced, man. They kept me juiced. They had this little rap off, and even if you're not like in the rap, it's just between two people. Um, they had like this chat on Instagram live feed, and I'm just like sending them suggestions about what to rap about. So they're reading the feed, and I'm feeding them suggestions, and it's just so involved and so fun. It's so definitely it's the hip hop improv crew. So you improvise what's being fed and the energy between everybody, and it's really great. Yeah, definitely will freestyle for you, no doubt.
Nice. All right, we're gonna head out in a minute because
Yo,
right now I think I have a file that handles 2 hours and 26 minutes, and we're almost there. But I
yes.
but Chris Sanchez, I want to leave saying one thing for 20 seconds, and you leave me with one. If you have people out there who are working a 9 to 5, if you're not a 9 to 5 person, do what you got to do, man. But the first chance you have to get the hell out, get out. Get out. There's some people who are 9 to 5 people because that's structure and it's this and that. I was a 9 to 5 person for 17 years. I'm not a 9 to 5 person. If you are not a 9 to 5 person, if there is some kind of business venture, man, life is so short. Just get out there and do it. Do it and fail. Do it and succeed, my man.
And from my perspective, I'm gonna share. I think it's a great time now to for self-reflection. Um, Ask yourself the question if you're sitting right with yourself, if you're sitting well with yourself. and reach out to people when you need. Um, and within like for my own meditations, what I find like
Looks like I just lost him in the moment of truth. Chris, your thing just cut out. Oh man, well, too bad. Seems like he doesn't get his. We just lost the signal. And for me, I think it's a good time for me to close up shop here. That was Chris Sanchez, actor, theater performer, dancer, entrepreneur, Zumba teacher, and God knows what else. He's a true Renaissance man and a true student of every single game. Got into volleyball, became an instant player. He's got sand hands. A couple of years in, he's just an extraordinary human being, and that's what I like to have on this show. And that's how I'm going to end it. Okay, for all of you at home, for Chris Sanchez, I'm Jason DeBias, and I love all of you to death. All right, love you to pieces. So long. I'm out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear. And that's it.